Thank you very much, Quick Shots. I'm Medi, that's Vedi, and we are here. And I just want to say, Kadra, how many metaphors could you fit into one sentence? It's two sides of the same coin, and you put them together, it's an infinite sandwich.
Like, do you make sandwiches with bread?
No, Kadra's actually, because he's co-streaming everything, he's so rich now
that
he just puts money inside bread.
That is true. He does just,
like, put a coin here,
that does make a lot of sense.
Here.
He's going to come in next week with just a suit made of money, you know? Right, damn. Kadra living the good life.
He's the Conor McGregor of the LEC, is what he is.
Right, now that we've got that out of the way, yes, we are kicking off week 3 of the LEC with a banger. It is, of course, BDS versus Astralis. These are two teams fighting at the bottom of the table. And you might be wondering, Vedi, how can you call that a banger? Well, you know you're guaranteed for something. We just don't know what it is yet. So, before we jump into Champ Select, it's time for the funky music. Let's get into it.
First draft of 12.2, the second patch of the year, and perhaps we'll see something new come out from these two teams. I'm sure they're both looking for something a little inventive to start them back on winning ways. Of course, BDS have already picked up 1 win so far this season. Astralis looking to try and stay away from the ignomous 0-18 scoreline.
Well, if you have a look at the stats from both Astralis and BDS, they tend to have some common themes when you look at their bans. In particular, BDS often have their LeBlanc taken away from them. Astralis in particular really like to ban away the LeBlanc too. They really don't like to do it. When we think back to NUCLEARINT, it was something that he would bring out a lot. Well, he had a lot of success with during the early weeks. The Trundle is also a common one that you'd remove away from the Zanzarah. The man in the jungle, the one and only Zanzarah himself. But it seems we're seeing some quite generic standard bans from both sides for the time being, outside of course that Trundle pick, with Syndra being removed, Corki also being taken off the board. I'm trying to think that Syndra, there was... Well, normally Syndra would be the common answer to things like Corki, so the fact that they would choose to ban away the Corki and the Syndra is a little surprising to me, but let's see what direction they choose to go with it.
So what have we got left? Xin, Lee Sin, Jin, Jinx, and Twisted Fate so far have all made their way.
Jinx is all up, Thresh is also available. There are a lot of pretty powerful picks in the meta right now. You can kind of take whatever direction you want to. So let's see what the priority for BDS is. Will they choose to lock in something strong for Cinkrof? Xin wouldn't be that crazy.
And instead, it's going to be the Diana locked in for BDS. Very strong AP jungler, teamed up with the Yasuo, who was slightly buffed on 12.2 after the Immortal Shieldbow nerfs on 12.1.
The question is that a combo that they want to run? Typically, when you do have an AP jungler, you want to pair that up with a little bit more AD. You know, a very famous combination is that Renekton Nidalee duo that was so famous, primarily because it's so difficult to itemize against, but let's see what direction BDS decide to go for. Given that a very early Xayah Rakan in the bot lane for Astralis.
3 games in a row, they've picked this Xayah Rakan, and I will say, Kobbe, very good Xayah player. promisq has looked pretty promising at times on the Rakan as well. Some of his weaknesses, perhaps, in previous games have been shored up by this pick, and it does give Astralis a strong bot lane to start us off.
It also leaves a lot up, though. There's still the Twisted Fate, which will get locked in for BDS. You can also round that out with a Jinx. Like, when you think about meta picks, when you think about priorities, BDS right now have got a lot of what they want. Now, of course, the good news for Astralis is they can now look to just ban away supports. They can remove the Thresh as well, but it seems that Astralis came prepared. They knew that the Twisted Fate could be a high priority for BDS. They are going to answer with the Sylas. And so we've got a lot of focus towards the bot side of the map. Top still a lot of room to go. Astralis still haven't quite locked in their jungler yet, but we do know that Zanzarah will often save that pick a little bit later on anyway. So by having this strong 2v2 in the bot side of the map, Astralis already have a direction and clear lane that they can play towards if they want to put WhiteKnight on something a little bit more weak side, which is typical for them. I think it was you that was telling me that stat, that they actually haven't gotten a plate in the top lane.
Not a single top lane tower plate as of yet for Astralis. Both BDS and Astralis actually sit at the bottom of the standings for total tower plates taken so far this split.
Well, we talked about the support bans, and now they're going to start coming through from Astralis. Thresh is going to be removed. They could also consider removing something like the Morgana as well, if they are a little bit worried about that. They could also look to remove something like the Nautilus, or maybe the Alistair, depending on what they believe Limit does like to go to. We know that engage supports are usually his go-to, even though we have seen him play a fair number of Enchanters this split.
And that's where I was about to come in there, Vedi. The Enchanters, alongside a Jinx, can be very strong. I'm looking at Lulu, even though she was slightly nerfed on 12-2. I'm looking at Nami, I'm looking at Yuumi, as well as some very strong bot lane enchanters that team up well with something like a Diana and a Twisted Fate. However, Diana does like you to have a little bit of CC in your lanes to set her up for these ganks, so I wonder if Limit will fall back to one of those more conventional engage supports.
I have to wait and see. I wouldn't be surprised to see something like a Jarvan ban right now from BDS. Just remove a couple more of those engage.
Good prediction.
Well, it's also just when you think about junglers that Zanzarah plays, your choice for BDS is Lee Sin or Jarvan. And when you think of Zanzarah, I can't think of a Lee Sin game that he's played.
Yep.
So I think the safer ban is just to take away that Jarvan pick, to just limit his pool as much as possible. This does lean a little bit more towards something like a Viego, but of course there are still a number of junglers up and available, but it does seem like he is just going to stick with the standard meta for now.
The AR there on the screen predicting slightly that he was going to pick that before it was locked in, but as you say, Viego, the lock here for Zanzarah, will be his third of spring. Of course, yet to pick up a win on that champion. BDS now looking down towards the bottom lane and up towards the top. Support and top lane, their two options. Adam has, across the course of spring, gone for more aggressive top laners. I'm looking at Graves, Irelia, Darius,
Olaf.
of course. Olaf fits that bill as well. And of course is one of Adam's signature picks.
Certainly is. It's also a very difficult pick to answer. Like, Olaf just does very well into many top lane matchups. Just his sheer early game prowess is a very difficult thing to deal with, and we know that BDS is a team that will quite happily play around their top side of the map. We've seen Cinkrof very often try and enable Adam as much as possible, and with a roaming support in the form of Nautilus and a Twisted Fate, you really are putting a lot of attention up towards that top side, kind of leaving xMatty by himself, which, you know, has been a point of weakness for BDS so far in the first few weeks. So we'll see how well WhiteKnight can deal with the pressure that I expect to be thrown towards the top side of the map. Meanwhile, Astralis looking to round things out with what I imagine will be a bit of a safe side, top side of the map. The question is how will they round it out?
I was thinking Gragas or perhaps this Kennen as well, something with a bit of engage, because otherwise this Astralis lineup would have been lacking one of those, you know, engaged champions. Rakan usually wants to follow up behind someone rather than be the initial CC bearer himself. There's the Kennen for WhiteKnight, something we've seen him on a couple of times this season already, and no real surprise that Astralis went for a top laner that can play safe but also provides utility as the game goes on.
It's just a range matchup into Olaf as well, so even though Olaf typically very powerful in terms of those early duels, having that extra range will make it a little bit easier during the laning phase, but if an axe does land on you, you still have to respect the damage output that can come from this Olaf. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that top lane because it's going to be important. I imagine Astralis is going to be focused more towards the bot side of the map with this Xayah Rakan. Try and enable Kobbe to be a little bit more, to be stronger in terms of that side of the map and also getting some of those resources. Duo, I think, has had a solid split, but we'll see how things pan out as we are going to be jumping onto the Rift for our first game of the day.
And in we jump. It feels like this game is an appetizer, an aperitif for the League of Legends that is to follow across the course of this weekend. Of course, we have some big games today. Rogue Fnatic are playing tomorrow, Fnatic G2. Later on today is all Mad versus XL. But for both these teams, it is important not to overlook matches like these, because beating teams who are around you, especially near the bottom of the table, is what gets you into the playoff spots. Kadra said it on the desk. You only got to beat the 4 worst teams in the league to get yourself a spot in playoffs, and then you get to best of 5s and everything can change.
Yeah, and I mean, BDS already has a win over XL, which is a pretty big deal when you think about teams that are going to be competing for those playoff spots. The fact that Astralis doesn't have a win yet is obviously a worrying sign, but Astralis last split made things very competitive towards the end of the split. They were neck and neck alongside Vitality and XL, fighting for that final spot to secure a position in playoffs. And wins here definitely can make the difference. This best-of-1 format really can be both very beneficial, but also very, very lethal if you are dropping one too many wins. So we'll see how the early game pans out for both these teams. Right now I'm having a look at the junglers. It looks like Cinkrof going to start on the bot side of the map, pathing up towards top. Meanwhile, Zanzarah actually doing the same. He will need to be careful because in these early skirmishes, Sylas has very long cooldowns. So if you find yourself in a 3v3 or a 2v2 in the jungle, the risk of a stun from the Twisted Fate, but also if an Olaf gets involved in any way when it comes to contesting that top scuttle, Astralis is just going to fall short. So we'll see how he adjusts his pathing, because I imagine he's going to look to try and secure himself that bot scuttle crab.
For the moment, both of them just working their way through the bottom camps. Of course, Krugs takes slightly longer overall for Cinkrof, so he's a little bit delayed on getting to his Razorbeak. Zanzarah about half a camp ahead.
Well, the great thing about Diana's clear speed is it's just so fast, right? She's one of the few junglers that actually can do like this full bot to top clear and actually still be in a great position to contest the crab. Already now level 3 because of that full bot side clear. Now let's have a look at what Zanzarah is up to here.
Gank mid.
Could very well be. We have seen this gank pattern occur very commonly. Dajor should have the stun on his E.
There we are, Dajor flashing forward. NUCLEARINT has to flash away. Zanzarah misses the Spectral Maw. It's flash for flash traded in the mid lane. NUCLEARINT has the TP, and Dajor missing out on the cannon there will cost him just a little bit.
Yeah, it's I can already see the -1s in chat being spammed.
Kamegalol.
Very unfortunate. Cinkrof now looking to try and punish because he knows exactly where Zanzarah is, has the smite up.
Cinkrof is going to dive forward here. Zanzarah trying to get away, but you can see just the damage from the Diana. The red buff as well helping Cinkrof out so much in this trade. Ooh. And the flash crescent strike is enough for Cinkrof.
Beautifully played, Cinkrof. Not only does he steal away the Raptor, but he also catches Zanzarah completely off guard. Stacks up the passive, combines a flash Q third hit passive to get a chunk of damage off that Zanzarah was not expecting. Observers, can we very quickly see, did Olaf get that red buff? I'm curious as whether or not they handed it over to Adam. No, they didn't. All right, so that will be picked up by Cinkrof. He's now going to be very far ahead in the jungle matchup. Level 3, denying that first red buff as well away from Zanzarah and just utilizing that priority. Now Adam is looking for some action in the mid lane. Dajor, though, playing towards the bottom of the lane to where his jungler is. Should be pretty safe. Oh, and if we could very quickly have a look at what NUCLEARINT is doing, because this is a very painful thing to deal with as a mid laner. In a situation like this, Dajor would love to push the wave underneath the tower, base, and then come back to wave, but this will force him to teleport because the wave is now frozen, and if he doesn't TP back in, well, his wave is going to be in a very unfortunate spot. But Adam is trying to take advantage of that, and now as Dajor is forced to overextend in the lane with the stun card and no flash, okay, so they decide not to go for it.
Well, the wave is pushing into Adam in the top lane. He's going to have to catch that. Otherwise, he would be losing out on, you know, 2 waves of CS if he wasn't able to get back up here in time. He'll be able to catch this, meaning that the entire roam duration didn't actually cost him too much, you know? Lost out the gold from one minion, but still able to catch everything else. And Cinkrof now in a good position to look for a gank towards this mid lane. NUCLEARINT cycling through the cards. There's the gold. Dale's going to go forward. Gold card locked in. There's the stun. Cinkrof has the Crescent Slash to chase this one in. Zanzarah coming in from the side as well, but he realizes his mid laner is down.
Super risky trade there from Dajor. Ends up getting punished for it. No information on where the jungler could be. Also, these roam timings. I think that if he just held off a little bit more, but I think his goal there was to try and trade so that he could at least get the wave push underneath the tower. But as we saw, he ends up getting punished for it. Ends up losing this whole wave. Will be donated over to Zanzarah, though, so he'll be able to catch up a little bit on experience. But this jungle matchup is now going to be brutal. A whole level up for Cinkrof. He's got 2 kills. He's already got himself his first core component, which gives a huge burst of damage early on with Diana, which is typically where she's at her weakest. But by already securing that item, it makes her trading so much stronger in the early game. And BDS off to a fantastic early game, already 1.5k gold lead.
Very strong start for them. And you can see CS leads in the mid lane as well for NUCLEARINT, almost up towards that level 6. Cinkrof actually hitting level 6 before Zanzarah even gets to level 5. So even the little bit of extra CS and experience that Zanzarah got in the mid lane isn't really going to pay too many dividends for him. 2.8k on Cinkrof. That's a big Diana. And the worry is as well, it's not just Diana who's going to be at any fight. As soon as you catch Diana in the jungle, or she catches you in your jungle, NUCLEARINT's going to be there with the Destiny, and unless Dajor is able to match that roam, it's always going to be a 2v1 in favor of the fed Diana. Glacial Augment here on promisq will slow Limit down. Destiny was popped, stolen away by Dajor actually, because they had a tiny window where Dajor was 6 and NUCLEARINT was not.
But unfortunately for Astralis, they weren't able to convert it into anything. And one of the things that is the most terrifying about Diana, I'm a really big Diana fan, and the reason why I love playing her in solo queue is because like she just power farms so fast. Her jungle clear is just is so difficult to deal with, and it allows you to do things like this. So in that window where Zanzarah tried to make a play in the bot lane, BDS recognized the blue buff had been respawned. The wave in bot lane was also pushing underneath the tower. The bounce in mid was also pushing towards Dajor. The wave states were beautiful. Cinkrof leveraged that and is now just stealing away more and more camps. And just look at how quick he's going to smite this too. Is he not? Yeah, there it is. Working towards that smite upgrade, and he just continues to accelerate this lead. He has the highest CS in the game right now.
Almost twice of what Zanzarah had. Zanzarah did get a Scuttle Crab up towards the top, so able to get himself at least a small mercy. But right now, Cinkrof just so powerful on this Diana.
And you may have heard analysts on the desk talk about how Cinkrof is a very smart player. He's a player to watch. He's someone that you need to pay attention to. And it's because of his ability to recognize and punish these types of plays. The level 3 gank that Zanzarah did in mid is one that we've been seeing a lot more often. It's becoming a lot more common, and it can easily catch enemy mid laners out. It burns the flash, which on paper looks great, but then Cinkrof, knowing exactly where Zanzarah is, knowing that he has a wave that he can leverage around mid, knowing that he has Prio on top, is able to set up the invade, and that single play has now put him 2 whole levels above Zanzarah. The way they were able to snowball off the back of that is exactly the type of pathing that we were talking about. That great awareness, your understanding of your lane states, the recognition of the strength of your champion to then look for fights and punish your opposition, and then the actual execution. That third hit passive, Q, flash combo, just beautifully done. And this is some of the potential that we get to see from Cinkrof. So great stuff to see from the early game in BDS. Of course, it's just the early game.
Yeah.
And like we've said this for many teams, especially teams with a lot of new players to the LEC, sometimes they can find these leads, but that doesn't mean they can always convert them into a win.
Well, BDS will have to work through that. Oh, actually deciding not to clear the mid lane ward there. That is an odd decision from BDS. Maybe they wanted to give it... No? They knew this ward was here. They've hit it twice. They had to sweep it down.
It's a power move, man.
It's a power move, but how powerful is it when it now means that if NUCLEARINT backs out of the bottom of lane and then tries to Destiny somewhere? Like, there are power moves and then there were good power moves, Vedius. And I will say, this one was not the best power move I've ever seen.
It's a ward.
This is like when you go on a date and you spend the entire time insulting the person you're with. It's like,
is that what this is?
That's a power move, but it's probably not going to work out too well for you in the end.
I don't know if those two things are comparable. I mean, you know, I'd say it's more like, oh no, I've left the milk in the fridge a little too long. I wonder if it's still fine. You know, like, it's kind of that degree, I feel.
Okay,
you know?
maybe,
it's not that big of a deal. You know, I mean, it's just a bit of vision. It's in mid lane.
And it will expire, of course, in a couple of moments' time, so...
Do we need to talk? I mean, you know, just... You know.
Oh, I thought you meant for the game.
No, I mean,
I was like,
no,
we can just shut up. I'm sure a lot of people in Twitch chat. Guys, watch the game.
The ward's gone now. The ward's gone. Are you not going to speak?
So you know how... So, obviously, not a huge amount happening. I really miss... I enjoy watching football commentary.
Right.
And one of the best things about football commentary is when they just don't speak.
Okay.
And the game just happens. I think we can try. The issue is, I don't think League of Legends and football are close enough.
No, we'll try it. Here we go. We'll try it. We'll try it. Here we go.
Cinkrof.
Ooh. Limit.
Hook. Good hook. promisq has a second dance. Walks away.
Dashes away. Impeccable.
This is more golf commentary than football commentary. Oh, that's a fine shot.
Of course, in this early game, we know that BDS have a pretty significant advantage, and now we're kind of waiting for these next neutrals to spawn. So Drake is in about 2 minutes' time. Limit is looking for a couple. That's a big commitment.
Yeah, that's just coming down. Limit underneath the tower. He's going to get rooted if those blades can get pulled back. The charm immediately from promisq, and NUCLEARINT has invested a lot into this. Dajor looking for the chase. Ooh, tried to chain back onto Cinkrof, who dives back in underneath the tower. Dajor flashes away from the hook. xMatty now tanking it. Only 2 shots to him. And a perhaps slightly misplayed tower diver. Zanzarah's on the way. stunned out of the Spectral Maw.
Okay, so a lot of summoners ended up being burnt, mainly on the side of Astralis. A huge commitment from BDS, primarily to use, well, the Twisted Fate ultimate, trying to get advantage over Astralis. The TP commitment from Dajor to answer was a good one. The fact that he could still TP to the tower to mitigate the dive, but also the fact that the Xayah could use the ultimate to buy a little bit more time, meant that Astralis was able to walk away without losing any members. I am a little surprised. I expected BDS to be investing more towards the top side of the map, but by trying to make a play towards bot, I think the primary reason is because they had that stacked wave. They saw an opportunity, and with the Drake spawning in about a minute's time, even if they don't get any kills, securing all those summoner spells is going to be a big deal, because now you see the difference. Cinkrof has flash, NUCLEARINT has flash, xMatty has all of his summoners, whereas Astralis is not in the same boat. Their ultimates are going to be available for the next Dragon fight, which just better sets up BDS for the oncoming duel.
Lemmy getting vision in towards this jungle as well means that BDS will be in a great position to control this bottom side river. The disconnect that we saw, by the way, was resolved. Of course, we are playing on a slight delay, so there was no point at which NUCLEARINT wasn't totally in control of his character and totally in the game. And obviously, we got that fixed as soon as possible. Mythics have started to be completed here, Vedius. The Rocket Belt already complete on Cinkrof. He was the first one to get his Mythic in this game. Kobbe, though, has an Eclipse on this. Xayah has the Feather Storm about to come back off cooldown. And Astralis trying to gain some vision control down towards this bottom side. Matty stepping forward. Could look for the Flame Chompers, instead decides against it. Cinkrof does still have this Rift held, so I expect they'll use that either bot or mid, maybe bot. Looks like that's where they're heading. And then they'll start up the Drake.
Good use of the Herald, will secure themselves a good number of plates off the back of this. And they're going to push in another wave mid, make sure that that gets walked underneath the tower, and have a look at Adam as well. Just goes back to base, does have the TP. Of course, it isn't unleashed yet, which means that he won't be able to TP to a ward. He needs 1 more minute for that, but he's just spent all of his money. WhiteKnight in the same position. He's heading towards the Drake. This ward here will spot out that Cinkrof has actually started this one off.
How important is this steal for Astralis? It feels like not too consequential, and Zanzarah agrees with our assessment, so he will retreat from the river. 3,000 gold lead, 2 dragons in the pockets of BDS. It's an Infernal Rift for us as well. Adam will just help push out this mid lane wave.
Yep. And Adam will still have his TP.
Ward's there again, by the way.
It is. They've actually repeatedly kept that ward there to keep track of what NUCLEARINT has been up to.
Yeah. And taking the milk out of the fridge. BDS keeps putting it back in. They
do keep putting it back.
And then Astralis like, nope, out of the fridge again.
See, but I recognize that my metaphor is not very good either.
Yeah, because like, in the fridge for too long is...
It's just, you know, I'm not a metaphor guy, Medic. You know what I mean? I'm more of like a literal guy.
Okay.
You know?
It's literally bad not to swing that ward when you have a chance.
You know, agreed.
Cool.
I will. We can reach a consensus on that.
Nice.
Now, I'm having a look at what might be available on the map for both these teams to contest over, and there really isn't a huge amount. You can see Jungler on the top side.
TP's unleashed.
Limit. That was the Hex Flash used.
Yeah, promisq goes back in. As you say, Limit was able to Hex Flash. I was wondering with this ward just behind them if Kobbe hadn't dodged with the Feather Storm, whether Adam would have been TPing down there.
Oh, he was thinking about it. I think Adam is always thinking about getting out of his lane.
Getting to the bot lane.
He sees top lane more of as an obstacle with which he must overcome to be able to play League of Legends.
So I haven't looked at Adam's solo queue account, but I bet there's some Smite Janna top lane in his history. Because he's like, if I can avoid top lane, why would I ever play that?
I feel like Adam is the type to kill you. So if he's playing Smite anything top lane, it's like
Smite
Pike.
Olaf top lane.
It's Smite Pike top lane, you know what I mean? So he's the kind of guy that's been like, yeah, I won't lane top, but I'm definitely killing mid.
Yep.
You know what I mean? We all know that type of player.
And it's Adam.
It's
I will say, even though this Olaf usually picked for its impressive laning phase, that it hasn't had as much against WhiteKnight here.
Well, I will say he's mainly kept him under the tower,
yeah,
so he's done his job, I would say.
I think also, though, it provides quite a lot as the game goes on, because he can just chase down Kobbe as promisq looks for an engage down towards the bottom side. Depth charge going to land. Here's WhiteKnight, though. xMatty's burned both his summoners to get away, and he cannot escape. 2 quick kills over to Astralis.
Excellent flank TP utilized there by Astralis. BDS, it felt like that they were looking for a lot of these plays towards the bot side of the map, but it's Astralis that actually make it work. Bit of alcove gaming for us. The cost, of course, for Astralis is they do lose that top tower, with which Adam, he doesn't try and counter TP. They recognize that the bot lane is dead. They cut their losses, and they just try and get something on the map. But now Adam is going to be able to TP, catch this wave, which means while Astralis do find themselves some kills in terms of the gold department, BDS still lead.
Yeah, still 3,000 gold ahead. BDS very much in control of this game. Mythics across the board for them, apart from TF, and we'll have another look at this. It is just the Alcove Gaming you were talking about. A good TP comes out from Astralis.
Well, BDS is primarily playing for this bot tower now. They're trying to leverage numbers, but it's actually Astralis that attack first. And while BDS, in a typical situation, could respond to this, that TP flank from WhiteKnight basically cut off any ability to make a counterplay. So while I think it was a good punish overall from the side of Astralis. The problem is BDS just gained so much more off the back of it. They still lose that bot tower because the rest of Astralis were resetting on the map, and WhiteKnight isn't strong enough to be able to hold the Olaf. And BDS can make their way back up towards the top side of the map, secure themselves the Herald, and they can now drop this mid to secure all of the outer towers and just push the advantage even further.
You can see Grabs behind the scenes. He's like, xMatty, limit, some of you may die. But that's a sacrifice I'm willing to make. Get 2 towers and a Rift Herald out of it. And that goal lead extends ever so slightly more for BDS. NUCLEARINT here stepping forward. Does have the flash, has the ghost. Zanzarah has swept out the area. Knows that he is not on vision as of yet. NUCLEARINT still gold card locked in. They're going to wait for him to use that as Zanzarah now steps in. Everfrost stunned up. NUCLEARINT's going to pop the ghost. Cinkrof trying to turn this one back around with the Moonfall. NUCLEARINT pops his stopwatch and immediately afterwards is able to flash away. Dajor still on the chase. The final auto attack will be enough, but Cinkrof is hungry for blood. And Dale's tastes delicious as Cinkrof gets his 3rd kill of the game.
Dajor just mistimes his Everfrost, which gives a window for NUCLEARINT to actually flash out to safety, forcing Dajor to then overcommit, dive under the tower, and end up trading 1-for-1. A situation that looked good initially for Astralis, but the execution just ever so slightly fumbled, which then just funnels even more gold into Cinkrof's back pocket. Level 11, 2 items fully completed. This Diana is raring to go and is exceptionally strong at this point in the game.
And what a perfect time to be this strong. 30 seconds on the Infernal Drake. It would be sole point for BDS if they secure it. You can see control wards coming out in the inventories now as well for BDS to gain control of this bottom side river. Adam now has 2 items as well. All of BDS are funneling down towards this bottom lane, and NUCLEARINT may be a little bit overextended as Astralis look to find a pick before the fight begins. But the Destiny out, NUCLEARINT went forward with it. Maybe trying to bait BDS into something. NUCLEARINT with the Giga Chad play, Destinying forward while Astralis were trying to collapse.
I can only imagine it was to move into Fog of War so that Astralis wouldn't have information on where he was. When he saw the BDS collapse come through, he's looking to follow up, and now we're having a fight.
Really good Scryers. Fast out alteration there will spot WhiteKnight if he tries to blast going onto the back of the team. Zanzarah down to half HP. They need to get rid of it though,
I feel.
Dragon. Depth charge. WhiteKnight's going to get locked up. Flame Chompers limit flashes forward. Slicing Master coming out, but Dale's on the back line. Look at the damage from Zanzarah, from Astralis. They dive in, and BDS over-invested in killing WhiteKnight, but they're able to get back across the wall. Dajor low. Kobbe trying to heal up his mid laner. Dajor dives back in. Adam low, down to about a 3rd HP. Limit, Cinkrof, and Adam still alive. Trying to fight back against Astralis. Dajor on a sliver, on a fraction of his HP. Kobbe now not in the best of shapes, not in the best of positions. No flash, no heal, no hope of escaping. Kobbe locked up. Adam with the undertow across the wall brings back promisq to die.
What a crazy fight between the 2 teams. The BDS just barely are able to come out on top of. They will secure themselves the 3rd Drake and make their way to the Soul Point. Wow. That fight did not look great for BDS initially, and you can see the plan is don't let the flanker flank, kill him before he can, but then you leave your backline completely exposed. A good ultimate comes through from Cinkrof, and he does a lot of damage, but way more damage is done to the backline of BDS, and it's really the arrival of Adam and the damage from Cinkrof and the stall power that this Diana has that it allows them to turn it around. You think at this point with the range that Kobbe has on the Xayah that this is going to be enough to be able to allow Astralis to win, but the chip damage that just keeps coming out from Adam, and look at this, the commitment onto promisq as now they found a pick on a WhiteKnight.
WhiteKnight does have flash. All of BDS are on this top side of the map though. Limit trying to get in range for the depth charge. Doesn't quite have it yet. WhiteKnight still surging his way away, but here comes Cinkrof, and as you say, blast cones. A welcome addition to the game for Cinkrof as he gets his 6th kill of 8, Vedi. Super Mega Death Rocket's going to get popped. promisq flashes and stopwatches and then jumps away. He is able to escape.
And Astralis walk away limping. The question is, will BDS now use this as an opportunity to force the Baron? WhiteKnight does, of course, have the TP, and Limit's going to start this one off. They drop the Herald to create a point of pressure. Astralis, though, still in a position to contest. There is no flash, no ult available on Zanzarah, so he's going to have to fight his way into the pit, and BDS are not going to let them.
X-Flash across from Limit. Cinkrof keeping the Baron aggroed, but the rest of BDS don't want to fight it anymore. Zanzarah dodges back into the Harrowed Mist and will be able to walk away.
I think that was sensible because WhiteKnight has just respawned and he has teleport. BDS recognize this and they don't allow him to join the fight and swing it back into Astralis' favor. Of course, WhiteKnight does not have the ultimate available, but still, good respect being shown from BDS. They're likely going to push out these waves and then look for a reset of their own. The fun point that I wanted to make earlier was very rarely do you get to see like the extra blast cones on an Infernal map be added value.
True.
And that was a cool situation where his double blast cones actually allowed him to get the catch on the WhiteKnight. So one of the rare times that you do get to see some of the rift changes really impact these small things.
And definitely can help if you are looking for a chase down like that. Of course, WhiteKnight was slightly overextended in the top lane, which is why BDS were able to collapse on him, and perhaps the blast cone for Astralis might mean they can catch out Adam. The Ragnarok will get him away from any stun that may happen. TP's coming in as Astralis look for a fight. Ragnarok popped by Adam. He's going to try and chase down WhiteKnight, but he's shut down. Heartbreaker through the heart of Adam.
Yeah, not getting out of that one, unfortunately for Adam. That was a situation where I think if you had Gore Drinker, in my mind I was like, he's going to heal a lot and he's going to be very tanky. But by going for the Divine Sunderer, I think it gives him a little bit more in the 1v1 damage. But in a group fight like that, not having that AoE heal that you can get from the active definitely hurts your ability to turn situations like that around. But I was thinking like, this is going to be another Gankos thing that we saw last split, isn't it? Where it looks like you have the advantage, but I don't know if you do.
A big thing though for Astralis out of that is bounties are available. So when they take this tower, they're going to get an influx of gold. And the more times you can find these small picks and start taking these outer towers, it's not a huge amount. It's nothing massive, but it is enough to slowly creep your way back into the game. You can see gold lead, though, still 4,000. NUCLEARINT flashing forward with the stun card there. I did not think he'd get in range for the Destiny, but BDS had other plans for WhiteKnight.
Rapid fire cannon? Rapid fire cannon coming in handy there.
What do you call it when you have a gun that fires pigs? It's rapid fire gammon.
Did you just come up with that? Yeah. I'm so disappointed in you.
I didn't call it rapid fire cannon, okay? Gonna be disappointed with anyone.
In a minute's time. That's obviously going to be the big point of contention between these two teams. WhiteKnight does have the TP. Adam's TP is going to be coming up soon. I imagine he's going to push out that wave, look to reset.
Haven't seen this ward.
The big thing to note, though, is all this deep vision that actually sits behind BDS, which gives a lot of flanking opportunities for WhiteKnight to come in from behind. Gonna have a very quick look at the minimap, and you'll notice all these little wards that are sitting right behind them. The pings are coming down as well to illustrate, hey, we have a lot of flanking opportunities here. WhiteKnight, keep an eye out. So he's gonna sit top lane. He's gonna push that wave back out as BDS now look to control the river.
Control ward from Astralis will stop BDS from getting more vision than perhaps they initially had.
See, the thing is, that ward just there, just outside, well, in the middle of the river from Astralis, this one actually gives so much information because BDS is saying, hey, Astralis, come face checkers, come look, the river, ooh, you need control, why don't you? But they know exactly what BDS is up to. Just because that ward gives so much additional information, they can play patiently, they can wait, and the TP's coming in there.
There's no deep wards anymore. There's no deep wards anymore. They're all expired apart from the one near Krugs, which might have been just too far away. Destiny, though, WhiteKnight locked up, stun card, slicing Maelstrom, Everfrost. He's rooted in spot, he can't get away. And he makes like a tree and leaves. promisq pops the quickness, looking to try and get on the back line, but the depth charge just knocks them all up. And one by one, they are battered down by BDS.
Very clean fight once again from BDS, and the execution was just flawless. They see WhiteKnight on the flank, they immediately collapse on him, and this time round, the backline does not get attacked. That's an easy secure of the soul, and good control over the game. BDS having a very impressive performance here in Week 3.
Earlier on, we asked, can BDS translate the lead they had in the early game into late game fights? They see WhiteKnight, they didn't see the TP itself, but he gets caught with the zap, and he just doesn't have the movement speed to get away.
Just so much lockdown. The moment that the stun card hits, you have the flame chompers, and it's just beautifully done. And then Astralis, they just commit to a losing fight at this point. They try to get something back, but there is just too much damage. Adam is causing too much chaos. Cinkrof as well on that front line, level 15 with the ultimate and the items. It's just too difficult for them to deal with. So, beautiful game so far from BDS from start to finish. We saw them get caught out in the bot lane a little bit, but the idea, the whole setup the way in which they've been playing around their waves, the fact that they've been respecting what their opposition could do.
We do have a slight visual error going on right now. We're working on it, so
I was gonna say,
obviously things look a little bit odd right now, but we can continue with that great narrative point you were
This
hitting.
is exactly like my solo queue games, you know? When,
It's Berlin internet.
When you exactly. You're just like, you're clicking, and you're like, wait, no. Drake's about to spawn, and then this happens. This is exactly what happens. And then you're back, and you're like, okay, team, sorry, I'm back, I'm here, I'm ready. And then your team is dead, and then you're like...
See, I thought it was, you know how Arcane have had a lot of crossovers with things like Fortnite, etc. I thought this was a Harry Potter crossover, and all the minions were just wearing the Cloak of Invisibility.
Right,
you know? It's just like, ooh, League of Legends and the Philosopher's Stone. Oh, wait, that works.
Does it?
Is that Philo Stone?
I mean, yes.
It's the name of the first Harry Potter book as well.
That's true. Yeah, many layers to that joke. You must have thought a long time about it.
For you, it would have been a long time.
Okay.
Anyway. BDS setting up great vision control here around the top side jungle. This mid lane tower still stands, but you have to feel not for long. xMatty at 2.5 items should be able just to melt this one like a hot knife through butter. And BDS take it down.
So many metaphors from you. So many. I'm really impressed, honestly. A man of such wisdom.
Focus on the game, buddy. Come on.
I'm keeping an eye on this bot wave right now because it's a bit obnoxious for BDS, and they don't have any TPs to deal with it. They also don't have the Destiny, so they're just going to have to awkwardly leave it there, and that's why they're kind of grouping at mid. If they send someone bot, there is a risk that they could lose their mid tower, but I don't know why they really care about that. I guess the bigger thing is Baron, actually. That's actually the real reason why. Because if they do send someone bot, then Astralis have a window where they can actually force this, and that would probably be Astralis' best play in the current situation of the game. But they will now send Adam down. This is that very brief window that we were just talking about. Astralis, though, not going to take advantage of it. They will clear some vision out around the Baron pits, but it likely won't be converted into anything else. So Adam actually going to take this opportunity to really shove this wave in.
And it does make sense, as you say. Astralis not really able to step too far forward into this river.
The problem is, like, it's windows like this where you really have to try and force something, even if it's just trying to get a pick, because the advantage of getting a pick means that you can just stall the game a little bit longer. And when you're this far behind, I feel like that looking for these types of plays are the ways in which you can just like keep yourself in the game. So by not taking it, like, I'm not saying it was an easy play by any means, but they're in a situation now where their best plays are like 20% chance of success, really. And so you kind of have to take these gambles if you want to stand a chance of being able to flip this game on its head. But that brief window, they do end up missing, so now BDS are going to use this opportunity to take full control of the top side jungle. They have control over the mid wave, they have control over the top wave, and now they're forcing Astralis out, and now Zanzarah could be in danger.
promisq's looking for a big flank here as well. Zanzarah, though, caught out by Adam. Heartbreaker away. promisq was spotted on a ward as he walks into this mid lane bush. Now we'll have to dance away off towards the top side. Dajor is fighting against Limit, and of course it's the portal combat that is winning out. Dajor locked up, the Destiny coming out. Moonfall from Cinkrof as well will force WhiteKnight to flash away with the Slicing Maelstrom still running. Already Dajor down. Astralis flashing all ways to sunder. And you have to feel it's the wrong road home for Astralis as they walk back to the fountain.
They can make their way towards the Baron now. They still have 5 people alive, and the fact that Dajor has lost his life, Zanzarah doesn't have flash, doesn't have ultimate, should mean an easy and straightforward objective. It's been a steady, clean game overall from BDS, and they continue to do just that. The TP now coming through from WhiteKnight. He doesn't have ultimate. This will be a last-ditch effort to try and get something back, but looks like it's not going to result in anything.
Yeah, Baron already gone down. BDS take it. 9,000 gold there. Lead now 30 minutes into the game. And it's all done, but the singing you have to feel. Elder is up in a minute, and there's always the possibility of an Elder flip with levels no longer contributing to smite damage. It's 900 health is where it comes down to, but what BDS have done so well so far this game is catching someone out or chunking someone out before the fight around an objective actually starts. They've consistently found WhiteKnight on a flank, and consistently been able to use that Destiny to isolate one member of Astralis, and because of that, it's never been a fair fight around these neutral objectives.
Well, they've controlled the map very well, and they're doing exactly the same thing again. Have the Twisted Fate push out bot lane, have Adam hold on to mid, because no one's going to be able to bully him around, and then the 3 remaining just move through the jungle and gain control, and every time Astralis try to answer, well, guess what? You're not allowed to. So BDS then look for the fight, and honestly, just very clean gameplay overall from BDS. Something that Grabs was talking about in week 1 was that a lot of the basics need to be hammered home into a lot of these young players fresh to the LEC, and I feel like you're starting to see some of that pay off. A lot of this core concepts and a lot of these basic macro movements being very well executed. Good patience from BDS.
Now, talking about windows here, though, Dajor locked up depth charts. There's the stopwatch. promisq getting onto the backline, though, immediately chunked to half HP. Limit down, a good double root coming out as well, but WhiteKnight is already locked out of the fight. And BDS, they found their window, and they defenestrate Astralis. They chuck him back to the fountain. And in 32 minutes or thereabouts, BDS will pick up their second win of Spring.
Overall, a very impressive and clean game from BDS. This is the exact type of showing that they need to show that they can grow, they can develop, and that this team has a positive trajectory. It all started with a fantastic early game from Cinkrof.
Started with success.
It really did, and they held on to that success. That was going to be the big question mark. Could they maintain this early game lead? And they did a beautiful job. They played around their waves well. There was one blunder in the bot side of the map where WhiteKnight was able to find a good TP flank, but aside from that, just well executed. Very, very impressive stuff from BDS. And I think that they can be happy with this performance. They now just need to keep this momentum up, progressing through the rest of the split.
Cinkrof especially, I think, had a stellar performance today. Lots of people looked at him coming back in after being on a very disappointing Origin lineup back in 2017 as someone to watch. And I think this game has shown just how much power he can have as part of a team. He is one of your key player of the game votes at LEC on Twitter, alongside Adam and NUCLEARINT, the jungler for BDS, who had a storm of a performance, is there as well. I wonder who's going to win it.
I wonder.
It says ad-lib discussion.
Normally they
so
actually just make us, they normally just get us to go.
Into the
they
next
just
bit
get
straight away. But this time they were like ad-lib some discussion, and obviously they're never going to do that to us again. So BDS get their second win of the season with Adam's signature Olaf. The man himself will be standing by with Law right after the break.
Now we ad-lib discuss.
Yeah.